Welcome back to D2 Wrenchworks and DIY, guys. Today's video, we're going back to my Nishiki. This thing I did a video on probably a couple months ago. If you wanted to, you could check out part 1. So if you take a look, everything looks a lot different, a whole lot different. This is a working bike now. In the past couple months, I've just been riding around doing little errands. It's a little small for me, but honestly, I got a pretty good feel of what I thought was great and what I thought was bad. And, you know, what kind of value you're really going to get for your money here. This bike is only around 500, 600 new or something like that. You could get it at Dick's Sporting Goods, believe it or not. Yeah, you like a bike from Dick's Sporting Goods? Believe it or not, I do. It's actually a pretty good bike. Pretty dang good. Let's start with the first things that I do like. You have the ability with the 3x8 drivetrain to get a nice climbing gear. So if you have something that's heavy, or if you do live in an area that's like hilly, a mountainous area, basically anywhere that's not Florida, it's nice to have this, especially because you might be carrying a backpack or whatever, you know. It gives you the ability to also, if you're a new rider, keep some endurance and go longer, a little easier, eventually build that stamina back up until you're going faster again. So I'm not really into the whole like one gear and all of that hype. I'm pretty big on the triples. I think they have an awesome purpose because everywhere I've lived has a lot of mountains, so it's hard to be riding on like a straight road race gear. So let's start with the first thing that I wasn't too big of a fan of. I mean, you're gonna find this on any bike in its price range. This is a aluminum and steel fork. It's very heavy. First thing that I did was upgrade that. And you can see here, I have a really cool felt carbon fork. I mentioned this in the video. This is gonna take out a lot of dampening and vibrations on the handlebars, and you could really feel it beforehand. I'll let you know that for sure. It was bad. Now this swap was pretty simple. All I had to do was just pop the race out, stick this new one in. It was actually just the right height where I wanted it to be. It's a little high. I have the ability to trim it down later on. So when you do get a fork, make sure you measure what this is called your steerer. You want to make sure you have the right size that will fit inside of your frame. Anything too short, it's going to mess up where your geometry was beforehand, and maybe you like having it high before where it was. So keep an eye out for that. The next thing, we had a real cheapy aluminum seat post. Again, this comes on every, you know, your Trek 1.1s, your basic model Cannondales, your Specialized Elise, all of that is just going to come with this basic 27.2 style heavy aluminum seat post. Nothing that's really, you know, significant price-wise, but it does drop a lot of weight. And then again, it does drop a little bit of vibration and dampening on make your ride a little bit smoother. So that was another thing that we did. I was talking about maybe swapping out. I have these cool Campagnolo brakes. There's some very neat vintage ones. They're only Velis, so it's not very high-end or anything, but compared to these are no-name brand. I thought maybe that these would be a little better. I was actually wrong. I was pretty surprised to know that. The brakes that we have on here look like some pretty decent model, like off-brand style generic brakes. The power wasn't good at first, and I mentioned this before. The pads that come on these style brakes are horrible. Throw them in the trash where they belong. They're not good here. The Campy brakes had some Dura-Ace pads. I don't know why, very weird, but they fit on here great, and now I have so much more stopping power, it's insane. And I'm very happy with that. No need to upgrade the brakes. Just get some good pads, that's the most important thing. One cool thing I did want to bring up, these tires actually came with the bike, surprisingly. They're only Kendas, so they're nothing super high-end again, but they are 726 CY. This is actually pretty wide for, you know, a cheap bike, and they also go up to 125 PSI. A little harder for you to get a flat that way, and them being a wider tire, it also gives you a more surface area on the pavement, and this makes it, again, harder to have flats. A little more control in the rain and stuff like that, too. Pretty neat. I was surprised to see that. It was a happy little find.
Maybe there's a happy little tree that lives right here.
For our drivetrain setup, we have Claris, the long cage rear derailleur. I haven't done this yet, but something you can do is you can upgrade to this gigantic 11x32 cassette and still have your full triple. And you can see this is a much bigger, so it gives you a lot more climbing. And for something like, we have the ability now to tow a bunch, so you know, if you're gonna have 50 pounds of groceries in there or something like that, it's gonna feel a lot different. And having this 32 tooth, that is the maximum that you could fit in there. It gives you the ability to climb so much easier. I believe the inside chain ring here on the crank is only a 30 tooth, if I'm not mistaken. And so you would have an excellent ratio if you were in the 32 tooth on the cassette and the 30 on the crank. That'd be great. The best I've ever had actually was a 30 and a 30. So I had a 105 with a 30 crank and then 11 30 tooth cassette. So like a 1-to-1 ratio. And I mean, I thought that was excellent. So coming to find out, I did some math on this. If you're ever curious, you could check out the Shimano webpage. And on the back of your derailleur, right where it says Claris on here, on the inside of that, it's going to be stamped with something like RD-2300 or something like that. That's, I believe, what this is for the Claris, or 2400. So yeah, you just type that in, it'll bring up the Shimano tech spec, and you could find out your exact gear range and do all the math for that compared to what kind of crankset you have, and it will tell you the best cassette that you could have on there, maximum range-wise. So next, what we got here, as you can see, that pops right off. This is a pannier bag, carries a ton of room, absolutely huge. I could fit one on each side, and I actually do have two, but it's a little easier for the video to just have one on. So we got just a basic, this is actually for a disc brake bike. It was just the cheapest thing I found on Amazon a couple years ago, and it served us pretty well. It's pretty tough and reliable. Technically you shouldn't do this, but this seat post I have isn't all carbon, it's actually an aluminum insert on here, so you really only do this to an aluminum seat post. You should only clamp those surfaces. But anyways, you could fix these to the frame with P-clamps if you don't have bike mounts. So, you know, you could turn any standard bike like this into a working style bike. Slide your pannier bags on there. It's got really nice Velcro to hold on this top bag, and that holds a ton too. It's actually pretty surprisingly big. I could hold a ton of stuff in here, and I could hold the weight, and it doesn't feel really awkward because I was able to slide the weight back right over the wheel, and just technically it should be like right at the axle if you want to be perfect, but sometimes it's annoying to have the stuff hit you if your bag's like overflown and stuff. So I thought it was a great addition. It's aluminum all over, so it's not very heavy at all. It does add some weight, but I mean, so does carrying stuff. The next thing that I did do for that, as far as utility, I also put on what I call a burrito bag. This thing's very big, fits like literally the maximum size of the handlebars. You could still get on the shifters real easy. Not a big deal. Overall, oh yeah, the seat came out great. Looks awesome on the bike. Feels so much better. The seat that was on there is really bad. That is definitely one thing. Get rid of the brake pads, get rid of the seat, and really anything else you're pretty much okay with. Besides, I did mention in the first video, the brake cables and the shift cables, they were a nightmare. For some reason, they just come in a kit for all different frame sizes, and you're supposed to cut them down, and nobody ever rebuilds the bike because it's, I guess, too much work. So I was able to recycle all this. I got nice good distances on everything. It shifts great, it brakes great. The Claris is not the newest they have out, but it's still very nice. It's much better than the old school Sora. So this is the old school Sora, and you would shift to the bigger cassettes this way, and then downshift on your thumb. It's kind of an awkward setup. I like having the trigger set up like this one does. And it's like a bigger shifter overall. There's more hand space here. These are very comfortable and nice. But I will say, Dick's Sporting Goods has another one of these Nishiki bikes, identical model, in a separate color. And they must be like a season apart or something. I'm not really sure how, but the other one has, instead of the Claris 2300, it has or 2400, it has, so the newer bike has, that they still sell, and right next to these, so keep an eye out, is the Shimano R2000, and I've done a video on how to do shift cables on these before. I built a bike with it, and it's much nicer. It's actually, it's kind of cheesy to say, but it's very much like the 11 speeds. I'm not trying to like blow it up too great or anything, but it's for one model higher. I would go after that. I'm still extremely happy with this for the price I paid for it. I believe we got this bike for like 60 bucks or something, like crazy cheap, way before bikes were going out of style and impossible to find like they are now. Unfortunately, I myself am having a hard time finding projects for you guys for content. But overall, for a bike that's from a department store, you know, Walmart could be selling this bike just as well. It's a nice aluminum frame. It's the same kind of stuff you're going to find on anything else from Trek or Specialized with their beginning bikes. And I mean, it's really hard to say that, you know, even if it was $250, it's still a good deal. You know, even if it's $350 and it comes with some extras and the bike is literally brand new, in times like right now, it's still a good deal. So, you know, just keep an eye out there. You could go buy one new for $550 or something like that with the R2000. That's a smoking deal, I think. If you're a person that's not really into the bikes, you know, you don't really know how to be a mechanic yet, but you want something solid, you want to learn how to work on it, and you want to worry about breaking something expensive, having to go to the Trek shop all the time, and, you know, they're expensive. So I think this is probably one of your best options, and especially with the ability to put on the 1132 tooth. I mean, it's a whole new bike then. I also did slap on some, since we did have these Wellgo pedals that came on this, also another bonus. To my knowledge, other bikes don't even come with, from dealerships new, they don't even come with pedals at all. So, and what this gives you is the ability to run nylon, well actually these are leather. I found some leather ones online, I'll have the links on these in the description. And it allows you to emulate clip-ins. You slide your foot in there and you're pulling up with one leg as you're pushing down with the other, and you can still wear your normal tennis shoes. I mean, it's a great build. I'm pretty proud of how it came out, and surprisingly, I have a Cervelo I did a video on a while back that I started on, and I actually just finished recently, and I haven't even ridden it yet. I ride this, so as funny as that sounds, it's an enjoyable bike. One thing we did too as well, I did take off the original stem. The original stem is actually pretty dang nice. These stems that I put on there are crazy light. They're as light as carbon fiber. I've had some carbon fiber Madone 6.9 Pro I had with a carbon fiber stem. Lighter. That aluminum one was actually lighter than that. So, I mean, just because I had one around, I went ahead and they're a cheap upgrade. They're like 25 bucks new. You can get them any length that you need to customize your fit. You could get a better angle. Like this was like a 7 degree, and we put one on here that's like a 17 degree, I think. Give you a little bit more upright. It's a little extreme being a 17, but it's just kind of experiment with fit. Like I said, they're 25 bucks a piece. It's pretty hard to complain about that. So I hope you guys like it. I'm gonna have some pretty cool beauties going throughout this, and maybe it'll give you guys some ideas. Keep an eye out for no-name frames. I have a video on a Caribou Superlight. That's a no-name frame. They're a Taiwanese company that just makes blanks and sells out to other people. You know, you never know. No, it's not always about name brand. You could get some extraordinary value from things like this, and you know, if you really look at it, it doesn't quite look at it offhand. It doesn't really look like anything super special, but not really anything we need to change here at all. Besides, you know, just for the heck of it, I'll change a cassette because I got it. And also, you can find those in the link in the description. These are also going to be fairly cheap as well. I think they're like less than 30 bucks for that big cassette. They're common on cheap mountain bikes too, so maybe you'll find one local as a takeoff. And that's it, guys. Please do like and subscribe. Really helps my small channel grow. I am now over 200 subscribers. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great day. Thanks. Bye.